Hello everyone, welcome back to our video lecture series on AutoCAD. In the last session, we learned how we can dimension our drawing. In this session, we are going to discuss about blocks, how we can create block, and how we can insert block into our drawing, and also about attributes, how we can add attributes to block and how we can extract attributes from a drawing. The term block might have came across you, and in fact in the last session also I had a small discussion on block. When we studied different object properties in the drop down boxes, you might have seen this by layer and by block concept. So some of the properties, some of the object properties we can assign to an entity, or we can make an entity to inherit it from its block definition, right? So first we'll see what this block is, and then we'll understand how we can create block and why do we actually require block, or what are the importance of block. In simple sense, you can think block as a collection of different objects or different entities. So this will be forming a group and will be acting as a single element or a single object. So that may be a simple definition what you can give for blocks. Even when I mentioned about dimension, you can see the dimension comprises of different elements: extension lines, then arrows, dimension lines, dimension text, and it has got various other features also. I mean, although the elements are those which I have mentioned earlier. Right, all these things together forms one particular element, or I can call it as a block, right? So in most of the cases in our drawing, we may have to have certain components or certain entities clubbed together as one group, and we want to have the same group at different locations. For example, if you're thinking about a mechanical drawing, and if you want to draw a bolt or a nut, you know, when drawing a bolt or nut, we require to draw some arcs, some lines, and different entities are to be drawn, and all these things together will make our bolt or nut. Right? It is not a single object. In fact, although we can call nut as a single object in physical sense, but when we prepare the drawing, it will comprise of line segments, arcs, and other different entities. All these things put together will form a bolt, and you may require to have you may have to place these bolts at different locations, right? Or different instances is required in your drawing. Similarly, if you're thinking about bearing, ball bearing, or some type of bearing, right? If you are thinking about mechanical drawing, or if you think about civil engineering, if you are drawing a building plan, then you can think of doors, windows, furnitures, and all those things are required at different instances. So every time, like, it's not easy to replicate the same thing, or in certain cases you can move it and copy it to the other location, but that may take some time, right? No? So in those cases, we can create blocks of those elements, and this block can be inserted in the current drawing, or even you can create a drawing with different blocks what you want, and you can save it as a separate file, and this file can be called to your current drawing, so that whatever blocks which is available in that drawing can be inserted to your current drawing, right? So mostly this will be something which most of the people who will be working on AutoCAD will be doing. See, if they are mechanical people, and if they are interested in preparing mechanical drawing or production drawing, then they will have a block which comprises of all the fasteners or the standard machine elements, so that they don't have to redraw, draw it again and again. They can use that one. So similarly for civil engineering people, like, they can have this furniture, landscape items, or various blocks created in that one. Even in our case, like, suppose if you are working in a food processing industry, and if you want to prepare the processing layout, then we may have to have different items in that one, like compressor, valve, or dryer. So for all those things, you can create some blocks, and whenever we require, you can call it in our drawing, and we can place it in our drawing. Okay, so you may not be completely understand. I mean, like, no, grasping what I'm trying to convey currently, but when we understand in detail about the block and other details, like, it will be very clear to you. Okay, now let us move to AutoCAD environment and see how we can create block and how we can create attributes also. I'll be discussing both simultaneously, and how we can insert block. Okay, fine. So here I just started a drawing here, and in fact you can see I have some metal pieces here which I need to bolted together. In fact, I want to use bolts and nuts, and I have prepared two drawings here. I have that this one a bolt and this one a nut. Fine. And I need to place this bolt and nut at all these lines which I have marked here. If you can, maybe at 7 instances I want this bolt and nut. I can always copy and move, or copy and rotate these things, but it will be difficult, or I mean, like, rather than that, I can assign some attributes also to those things. You will understand what this attribute is once I complete this session. Okay, so here, see, if you think about this, if you see this bolt here, see, it comprises of some arcs, some lines. So even if you want to copy, or all these things are different elements, and if you want to copy, you have to select all these elements, then copy, do a lot of exercises to position it at the respective places. So instead of that, what we can do is we can create a block out of this. Right? We can create this as a block so that it can be inserted at different locations. So I'll first show how I can create a block, then how I can insert a block here, then I will discuss about attributes later. Okay, so creating block is very easy. What you have to do is the command here is block block, or if you go to this insert tab, here you will see details regarding to attributes and block. See, here we have an option like create block and write block. Write block is to write a block to a separate file and not to the current file, but create block is to create a block in the current drawing. Okay, so if you click that one, or if you type block block, then you'll be getting a window like this where you can define your block. So we initially have to define our block to use that block in our drawing, right? Even you can use blocks from other drawing if you have prepared blocks in some other drawing that I'll be explaining. I'll be demonstrating later. Okay. So first, what we need to give some name for the block. Okay. Here, this I'll give as my fault, right? Or I can give my bolt. Let me, because bolt itself will be sufficient, but I just want to make small differences. I'm just giving it as my bolt. Okay, so as far as as far as a block is concerned, we need certain parameters. One is what are the different entities or what are the different objects in that particular block. Okay, so that is this particular area what you can see. So this objects, if you click this, you will be taken to AutoCAD this drawing area. You can select all the objects what you want what you want to be included in your block. Okay, so I'll show that right now. So I'm just clicking this. So I'm coming back to my AutoCAD environment. I will select all the objects which I want. Once I complete the selection, I'll press enter so that all these objects are selected. And here you can see that 23 objects are selected. So this comprises of 23 different objects, and all those things will be formed as a single block. Right, now if you see the select objects, here we have three different options here. One is to retain, that is, even after creating the block, you can retain it as it, right? As it, the 23 elements, right? It can be retained as it, or you can convert all these three things to a block. right? So it will be converted to a block which will be named as my bolt, right? That is another option. Another option is to delete. So once the block is created, it will delete all the objects here, but the block definition will be there. So within the block definition, all these elements will be there, right? Even if it is removed from the drawing, even if all these elements are removed from the drawing, still it will remain in your drawing as a block, right? So we have three different options here, and for the time being I'm retaining that one. I want it for some other purpose in the later stages. I want to create one more block named bolt later, I will keep it as such. So I am using the retain option. The next thing what you want is to specify an insertion point. Like, see, we need to insert this block in some other drawing, like in the same drawing or in some other drawing. So for that we need to specify some points, like where we need to insert my block. So for that one, you will have to choose a point. So that point can be picked from the screen itself. You can just go to the screen and pick that one. So here I am using the pick point option from here. So I click that one. So I'll be going back. So I'll use this center point, right? So this center point as the insertion point. Normally it will be the center of the hole, like where we need to insert our bolt in that. So I'm picking that one, and you can see that although the coordinates are displayed here, this is stored with respect to this object. Right? Although it will be displayed as the coordinates here, but in block definition it will be stored with respect to this particular object. Okay, so these are the basic essential things as far as a block definition is concerned. First, we need to select the objects which are to be included in our block. Then we need to have a base point, or the point where we will be inserting, like when we pick a particular point to insert this block, this base point will be at the insertion point. Hope it is clear. Also, see, when we insert a block, we can change a number of things, which I can show. I'll show you, like after a short while I'll be showing that one. And even you can change the scale in X direction, Y direction, and Z direction. You can have different scales, right? So if you want to restrict that one, you can select this one, the scale uniformly. Scale uniformly means you cannot have one scale in X direction, another scale in Y direction, another scale in Z direction, right? But if you are not checking this one, that also is possible. Now let it be like that, because net, sometimes I want lengthier net. So sorry, bolt I may require lengthier bolt. So normally net and bolt is the bolt. Two names will be getting confused. So even if I make some mistakes, you try to understand that at present we are talking about bolt, not net. Net we'll talk later. Fine. So this is all about block definition. So once we complete all these things, you can click OK. As I mentioned that I don't want to delete this one, it is remaining there, and it is remaining as the same way, like nothing has been modified as far as this drawing is concerned, but a block has been defined with all the objects in this net. Okay, fine. Now how I can insert my block, and what are the different options for inserting the block. So inserting block also is very simple. You can see here there is insert option, and whatever block will be there in my drawing, that will be displayed here. See, at present I have only one block, that is my block, so it is displayed here. Or if you want to insert block from any other drawing, you can choose this block from other drawing option. Alternatively, you can use the command insert, INSERT. If you type insert command, then we will be getting a or a window like this will be opened, and here also you can see three different tabs. This is current drawing, so whatever drawing which is available in this drawing will be displayed here, and this is the recent blocks which I have inserted, maybe from this one or from other drawing, because I have created some other blocks prior to this, and that is why you can see some other things. And if you want to insert from some other block, some other drawing, then you can use this, you can come and check here, and here you can go and browse to different AutoCAD files, and in fact when you install AutoCAD has got a sample directory in which there are a number of files related to like house design, related to hydraulic design, related to process design. So there will be some standard blocks available in that one. You can see something like that. This is pertaining to some house design. So we have bed, chair, desk, dining table, etc. I mean computer, that is system, etc. Okay, so as now I want only from my current drawing, so I'm going to this particular tab. So now if I want to insert this drawing, I have to just select this one, just click this one, right? Okay, along with that you can see that there are few options here. These options will be available in the command line also. I'll discuss what are the options which is available. First one is insertion point. Insertion point, you can pick some points from the screen, like wherever you want. Suppose I want my bolt to be fixed at this point, say at here, so that I'll pick this point as my insertion point. Right, so my bolt will be here, and also you can scale. That is what I am explained earlier. So you can be inserting this block, you can have scale different for X, Y and Z direction, or you can have a uniform scale also. See, if you select uniform scale, you can use the scale factor here. Otherwise, you can give X scale, Y scale and Z scale. Like this can be done before inserting, you can fix all this. Also, you can rotate if you want. If you want to rotate, suppose if I want to keep this bolt here, then actually I should rotate this block at minus 90 degree. Right, I'll show that also later. Okay, so at present, like now, first I will be inserting here because I don't need to rotate it. So these are some of the options, and also we have something called explode, repeat placement. I mean, you can place it in multiple locations. Then this explode is, if I explode, the block definition will be lost. Like now, for that object which I have already inserted in my drawing, like now. So at present, it will be inserted as a block. But if you use this explode option, then it will be split into individual components. So if you don't want block to be placed, if you want individual components to be placed in your drawing, then you can use this explode option. At present, I'm not going to use anything. I just want to place my block or my bolt here. So when I select this and when I move to my drawing area, you can see that I'm holding that block with me, right? And also you can see the different options which I have discussed here that is available here. Right, scale, you can have X, Y, Z or uniform scale, and also you can rotate it if you want. At present, I'm okay with the current options, so I just want to pick only the insertion point. Okay, insertion point I'm picking as this center midpoint of this line. So when I get that midpoint of the snap, I'm just right. So I did place. That was this. Okay, I did place this here. Right, and if you select that one, you can see it is a single entity, right? This is a block, in fact, right? Not separate entity like what we have seen here. See here, it was, this line was a different one, this line was another one, this line was another one. So but when we inserted it as a block here, you can see all those things is all those things are combined together to one entity, and this is what we call as block. Now just see, if I want to place it here, and here I cannot place it directly here because the angle has to be changed, right? So it has to be rotated at minus 90 degree because we need to rotate it clockwise, right? So again, I'll check this time. I'll select the block from here. So I'm selecting the block is coming with me. Now I'm changing the rotation. I want to change it as minus 90, right? Now you can see my bolt, it has rotated. So I'll just go and see, I have an endpoint there, so I'll place it there, right? Now if I want to place it here, what should I do? I should rotate it 180 degree, right? Or minus 180, 180, both are the same. Again, I'll use that one. So here what I'm going to do is, I'll rotate it 180 first. Now you can see that. Now I want here the bolt size to be larger. So I'll do one thing. See, this is X scale. So I'm just going to change the X scale. X scale, I'll make it maybe 1.5. Now see, the size of the vault has increased, right? The entire size has been, not the entire size, the X direction size has been increased, right? You can have Y scale also if you want to change, if you want to have both X and Y as 1.5, that also is possible, or you can have a uniform scale by clicking this scale. So now I think this is okay, so I'll just use this one, and then I want let it be, I want it as an intersection there, so I go the. Now I got at 3 instances I got, and if you see this, all these things, all these are separate blocks, and all these are single entity. So we created a block named my vault, and that has been placed in 3 different locations. Similarly, you can place it in other locations also. This is how you can create block, and you can create you can create block, and you can insert that in our drive. Okay, I'll take a small break, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss about attribute, right?